The Red Ninjas made their debut in the G.I. Joe line in 1993, but looked way different than their appearance in the G.I. Joe Classified series, and boy, am I thankful for that. Hey everyone, welcome back to Toy Habits, and today we are taking a detailed look at the renegade members of the Ashrikage clan, the Red Ninjas, and the myriad of accessories that this figure comes with. And let's start off like we typically do, where we look at the box and the art, and the Red Ninja comes in the G.I. Joe Classified series window display, and you can see all of the accessories that come with him, although he does have a red backpack that is hidden behind this piece of art that is about right here. And zeroing in on the box art here, we see a fantastic illustration of the Red Ninja, and this is actually one of my favorite illustrations that I've seen thus far, and it comes second to Major Blood only because the Red Ninja looks so real in this drawing. And a lot of the drawings that I've seen and the illustrations, they have a ton of animation, and I'm not super fond of that. I do like the realistic look of the package and the art on the Red Ninja here. One of my favorite aspects of these boxes are when the illustrations bleed over to the side of the box, and you can see the Red Ninja's shoulder and his arm bleeding over, and he's also carrying an axe down here, which I think is a really cool pose. And you also see some other Red Ninjas behind him, so it paints a scene of stealth. It's at night, it looks like there's the moon in the background, and I just think it's a really, really cool scene that they have here. And zeroing in on the top of the box, you can see a really cool shot of the face of the Red Ninja, and you can see the moon peeking here in the background, and you do see some reflection of light on some of the mask and also the headband that he has up there. And interesting enough, they put an Ashrikage symbol on his headband here, but if you actually look at the figure, he has a cobra symbol. So I don't know if that's an error on their part or an oversight, but I don't know. Should he come with an Ashrikage symbol on his headband on the figure? Let me know. There are so many aspects of this illustration that make it stand out. I love the fabric detail in the rendering here. I do love the way that the mask was illustrated, and it actually looks like this is a three-piece system that goes around his head. And it looks like he's got a hood, this metal face mask, and with the red peeking out from this illustration, it looks like he might have a cloth mask underneath this metal mask. So I don't know if it's intended that way, but that's how I see it looking at this illustration. And looking at the back of the box, we can see there are three Red Ninjas there if we zoom in. And interesting, they gave the Red Ninja the Yari that comes with the Snake Eyes figure. So I thought that was an interesting addition to this illustration because he actually doesn't come with that in the figure. But you do see some really cool poses from these Red Ninjas. All right, and finally, let's take a look at what the Red Ninja is known for. He is a level 1 foot soldier. He is a level 2 at wielding bladed weapons. He is a level 2 at martial arts and a level 2 at ninjutsu, which tells me you don't really want to mess with this guy. All right, now that Red Ninja is out of the box, let's first take a look at his head sculpt. Now, his head sculpt is one of my favorite pieces on this figure, and there are so many reasons why. I love the way they did his mask here. It looks like a metal mask, and it looks like the mask is a skull. And I really love that effect, and they've given some sculpting detail on the nose here. Also, the red showing has a little slit and some sculpting detail there that I really, really like. It just adds a lot of definition to this mask. I also love the way his eyes are painted, and I love that there are no eyes, and it just looks like this is just a dead figure and somebody that you just do not want to run into in the wild. And another part of this head sculpt that I really like, and I'm not really sure what to call this piece, so I'm just going to call it a headband, so forgive me out there because I don't know the terminology, but the way that this headband was sculpted, it looks like it's metal, and I got a clue from looking at the illustration, but I love the riveting detail here, and I love that they added this little line, and it just makes it look like two separate pieces, and they just put a lot of depth and dimension in such a small piece, and it just adds a lot of character to the head sculpt. I do like the red cobra symbol in the middle, and if you turn the figure around, the hood detail looks really, really nice. It looks like it's a cloth hood, but it's actually plastic, and I love the texturing that they gave the hood, and I love the way the hood falls and kind of rolls into the collar here. And looking at his torso, I love the way that this piece was done. It's a soft plastic piece, so it's bendy and it's not actually molded to the figure. But one aspect that I really, really liked about this figure is the strap detail is actually underneath his arm, and they've carved out a piece in the plastic here, so the strap is not too bulky. If you can imagine, the strap that's carrying his throwing stars is not a carved piece and it's not notched out, so it is kind of resting a little bit away from his chest. So you can also see that the notch was also carved out of his other arm here too, so it just gives him a little bit slimmer look. The collar is also made of a squishy material and it doesn't impede the movement of the neck here, and you can kind of pose the figure in any which way, forward or back, and that piece just bends and flexes. And this upper piece is just a myriad of textures and strap detail, and I love the black snake texturing here, and they really have some pronounced strap detail on his piece here. And if you look at the back of it, it's just a myriad of straps that are holding everything together. And looking at the Red Ninja's arm sculpt, his arms are the same on both sides, so we'll just take a look at one side. So he does have a lot of armor on his arms, and if you look underneath his upper piece here, he does have some shoulder armor. So I think it really looks great, and it just gives the figure some differentiation in color, because this figure is basically a maroon figure with red and black accents. And zeroing in on his waist piece, this is a separate piece that is on this figure so it can move around, and I do love the texturing that they have on the piece that hangs down over his crotch, and it's the same texturing as his shoulders up there, and you can see a lot of pouch detail. You can see the holder for his sword. You can also see some notching out of his belt there, and this do not enter sign, which it's probably not a do not enter sign, but I actually really don't know what it is, but I think it looks cool. And if you turn the figure around to the back, I do love that this is split this way, because it just gives a very cool effect to the figure, and you can also see the holder for his smaller weapons here. All right, let's take a look at the pants, and the pants aren't super interesting. They're just a red color, and I'm sure that they're reused from another figure, and he's got some basic red knee pads and some basic boots. And it looks like they've used a kind of a loafer-like shoe with a strap over it, and this is kind of simulated shin armor, which I kind of like because it just takes the bulk out of the figure. I've seen other figures that have more bulkier shin armor, and I wish they didn't do that. And the red strap continues around, and I really love the way that the pants feed into the boots for a cool effect where it looks like he's actually wearing the pants. The Red Ninja comes with a ton of accessories, and funny enough, 95% of them are from the deluxe Snake Eyes version, so let's run down the weapons before we get into the details here. So he comes with a pair of sais, a Nagamaki sword, a pair of axes, and wait, you don't come with a Yari? Yoink! Oh, sorry dude. Yeah, look, he's so sad. Well, he also does come with a pair of kama and the Ninjato sword. Well, his accessories also didn't come with a weapons rack, so his accessories got relegated to the acrylic display stand, so this figure got the shaft. Okay, now let's start with his size, and I'm only going to pick up one of these to show you, and the size are pretty basic, but they do have some carving detail on the handle here, which makes them look a little bit interesting, and I'm sure it makes it easier for Mr. Red Ninja to grip them. And next up we have the Nagamaki sword, and this sword is a sword that has been used for the last 1,000 years, so it's an ancient weapon, and it's pretty much a half sword, half handled weapon, and I really like the design of it, and I like the way that they did the handle. It kind of looks like the carving is wrapping around it, and the little notching that they have out of the sword, and if you can see really close, if I can focus this, there are little teeth. Oh, there they go. There are little teeth here that's next to the notching, and I just think it looks like a really cool sword. It's got some carving taken out of here, so it looks like a sharp blade. Next, let's take a look at his axes, and I really love the design of these axes, and I love that there is a notch taken out of here, and if you can imagine toting around two heavy pieces of metal, you would want to make them as light as possible. I do like this angular design that they've given it with all the notching that they have, and the handle looks really interesting too. They have some carving detail here, and it's given a little separation from the carving in here just to give it a little different look. And next we have his Kama, and the Kama is really cool. It's different than the Kama that was packed with the Arctic Mission Storm Shadow figure, but they put a lot of detail in the blade here and also the handle. It kind of looks like it's a spoon coming into a blade here, but I really like the design. It has kind of a similar carving detail to the sai, and I love the detail that they put in the blade here. Next up, we have the Ninjato sword, and it's a slim straight sword, and it's a cool twist on an ancient weapon. I love the way the handle is designed and the little notches that they've given it right above the hilt, and the blade has some carving detail in it, and it looks like it's a pretty sharp sword and it can do a lot of damage to somebody. And finally, he comes with a red backpack. So Snake Eyes, you did not come with a cool looking red backpack, so eat your heart out. But this backpack is pretty versatile. It can carry his sais or his axes, and it can also carry either his Ninjato sword or his Nagamaki sword. So unfortunately, they didn't add in another carrier for his other smaller weapons, so he must carry those in his hands, which kind of gets in the way if you want to do some like kung fu stuff. And here is the Red Ninja all geared up, and I actually prefer the axes in the hand here, and I do like the way that the Kama flare out from his backpack, and I do like the way the sais rest on his belt there. And one thing that I'm not super fond of is just how big these weapons are. And I know that these weapons were not designed particularly for this figure, but if you look at the hilt of this sword, for example, the only problem I have with it is it's just too big resting in here, and they should have done maybe a different sculpt where they had the sheath for this sword somewhere else, maybe on the back. Maybe they could have put an extra port on the back here so he could carry two swords and two Kama. But also this sword here is a little too long, and I think it just creates a very different visual look than what I thought this figure would look like with a huge sword handle sticking out from his head. All things considered, I think the Red Ninja is a great addition to the G.I. Joe Classified series, and I'm so glad they didn't go with the 1993 look and feel for this figure. If you have multiple Red Ninjas, they do look pretty damn cool as bouncer detail for Cobra Commander. Well, that's a wrap on the Red Ninja review, and if you've liked it, give it a thumbs up, and please don't forget to subscribe to Toy Habits so you can get alerted to new reviews as they come live.